Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your doubleheader QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. My name is Regan Baker, and as always, I'm joined in the commentary booth by the wonderful John Guana. And John, what an awesome matchup we've got here this afternoon from Southern District Stadium. It's going to be a great game.
It should be a really good game. It's a rematch of last season's Women's Grand Final Series. Two different-looking teams, but two really talented teams nonetheless. You have the Spartans sitting on 5th on the ladder, Mackay sitting just outside the 8th, in 9th spot at the moment. They're on the 3rd game of a 3-game road trip. They've picked up 2 wins in the first 2. They're looking to make it 3-0. Should make it another exciting game.
Yeah, definitely so. And like you said, John, it is two very different-looking teams from that final last year. But looking at the stat sheet in front of me from the season so far, it's two very evenly matched teams, similar to the final last year. Just looking at the stats in front of me, we've got the Mackay Meteorettes. They've taken 202 field goals made of 513 shots for 40%. Looking at Southern Districts, they've taken 207 from 506 at 40%. So both teams are shooting at very, very similar percentages, taking very similar amount of shots across the board, and they're also both pulling 304 and 308 rebounds respectively. So everything between these two teams is very, very similar, both averaging 75 and 77 points a game. So it's going to be a great game here with two very evenly matched teams.
Two really evenly matched teams. We saw Spartans earlier this season, and it's a different looking team. They now have their 2 imports in, and they've made a tremendous impact. Anderson and Bear come over from Europe with a lot of professional experience, and they've brought that to the table for the Spartans. Players that we saw starting and playing big minutes for Spartans earlier this season may not even see the court now that the imports are here and the full rotations are intact. So I'm excited to see what Spartans bring to the table, and I didn't even mention Ash Taya. Taya just came in and has made a great impact as well. So Spartans are looking really strong. Mackay, 3rd game in 3 days, and this is probably going to be their toughest game. They had a really tough one last night against Capitals. They were able to pull out a close win, but this one I think is clearly their toughest challenge, and it should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, exactly. This is, unfortunately for Mackay, it is their toughest game of the 3-game road trip, and it is against a very now strong Southern Districts team with the 2 imports coming into the competition. So it is going to be a real interesting game to see how this unfolds. To be honest, I don't know how things are going to go. We haven't seen Mackay play yet this year, and Southern Districts with these 2 new imports that have come through, we haven't seen their performance out on the floor either. So it really could go either way. My only concern for Mackay would be that across the season, they only have a couple of players shooting in double digits, like in terms of field goals made for the entire season, but Districts have 8. So there is a little bit of a scoring difference. So Districts being a slightly deeper team may come to their advantage. But Mackay, again, you've got 2 very, very strong players in Campbell and Lloyd hitting over 50 field goals across the season. So it's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens out on the field.
And I think Hardy Freeburn been a really nice addition to the Mackay group. She's more than capable of hitting double figures. So they definitely have the talent to hang with Spartans. It's going to be a good matchup. Both teams missed their first 2 opportunities a little short.
District's going straight back at it, though. So, again, still no team able to get some points on the board early on in this one here. Mackay now looking to put the first points on the board. So Freeburn with it now as the shot clock starts to roll down. So they're going to need to get to work. But really great defense from the Districts here as well. They're playing a nice tight defense, not letting them take an easy shot, as that was way too strong there.
Yeah, Ravanna Campbell is shooting the air ball. She's picked up a Player of the Week award already so far this QBL season. So you know she's a talent as well.
Great inside look there with the reverse layup from Beck Haynes. That's a great option there from the Southern District Spartans.
Yeah, it's a great look to Haynes and a nice reverse layup finish for Beck Haynes. She's one of the more impressive players for me because she does a little bit of everything. A real unsung hero for the Spartans championship last season as well.
Yeah, she is. She's such a multi-talented player, so it's not just the amount of points she can put on the board, but defensively as well. She's such a big presence and just gets to where she needs to be, and it does a really good job of stopping offensive plays. Step back 3-point shot there from Anderson. That one's a little bit too strong and no good. Mackay on the no, just going to slow things down off that fast break option.
It's a good read there by Lloyd. Spartans doing a good job in their transition defense. Slow down the Mackay fast break.
Mackay now going to work on the inside, and that was a great option there. Unfortunately, Zelenka just couldn't quite finish off the great assist coming from Campbell.
It was a great dish there by Campbell as Taya nails a 3 from the other end. And that's what hurts you there. That's a 5-point swing. You had an easy layup opportunity, you miss, and then Spartans come down, drain a 3. So Mackay struggling here to start.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much to read into, though. Like, Mackay's definitely taking a couple of good options. They just, I think they were a little bit tired after their doublehead weekend so far coming into the third game. They're taking good shot opportunities, and what I really like, actually about both teams out on the field at the moment, is we see a nice 3-point bomb there from Beck Haynes, is I really enjoy the fact that both teams are playing a very slow and controlled game of basketball. They're not rushing, they're not, taking drives through 3 defensive players or anything like that. They're playing slow, they're playing controlled, and they're looking for the good option, which is really great to see.
Yeah, I think they'd be disappointed in their start. Good time out there by Coach Houghton. It's an 8-0 run to start the game for Spartans. Ravenna Campbell had a couple decent looks, but has shot 2 air balls on her 2 attempts. So I think Coach Houghton just wants them to settle down a little bit, kind of be a little more patient on offense. I think a couple of their shots were rushed. And they need to do a better job picking up the Spartan shooters. I mean, Stevens and Taya both shot wide open 3s, so they definitely need to pick up that pace.
Yeah,
Excuse
definitely.
me, Haynes. I still half asleep. This World Cup is draining me.
Yeah, World Cup, doubleheader QBL game of the week as well. It's a busy time of year for us all. But I think you're right, John. Like, realistically, Mackay, offensively, they are playing a good game of basketball. I mean, they're shooting good shots. They're looking for the open pass. They're taking the open bombs. And I mean, they're shooting 40% on the season. So eventually those shots are going to hit. They're just a little bit worn out from the weekend. So offensively, I think they're doing a good job. But you're exactly right. They're letting those long bombs drop from the Southern District Spartans. And they're just not quite stepping out as fast as what I'm sure they normally do. So a couple of tweaks here and there. And as you said, a really, really good time out there from Coach Houghton. And they're going to pick things up really easily, I think.
Well, let's see what happens. I think it was more just a kind of settle down timeout. Let's play us. Let's not get overexcited here, and let's be a little more patient. And that was a decent look there from Lloyd. But again, don't necessarily want to just continue to settle for jump shots. I think they want to try to get the ball, work the ball inside out with Campbell and Zelenka, and then work out to the perimeter with Freeburn and Lloyd and Cedar.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, they've got some big players on the floor as well, Mackay, so they really should be looking for that inside opportunity. I mean, that pass across from Anderson to Zelenka down low was beautiful. It was just unfortunate that it didn't work out. But that's the kind of option that they're going to see working for them in the future. As Districts get themselves a nice little turnover there, Naja Parham going straight to the bucket and putting away another bucket to take the Districts out to a 10-0 lead early on.
Yeah, it's methodical here for Spartans at the moment, really doing what they want to do against this Mackay team. Mackay just cannot hit a bucket at the moment.
Yeah, Zelenka a little bit rushed there on that 3-point opportunity, so not as good a look as what they've had in the past so far in the first 4 minutes of this game. But exactly right, Mackay trying to get some points on the board, but just no luck so far. But that was a great inside look there, nice little dish off from Anderson, and just going to work on the inside.
Yeah, that was just too easy. The defense at the moment for Mackay non-existent, really letting Spartans do anything they want, and turnovers as well hurting. You see Taya there fouled by Lloyd.
Yeah,
Spartans just taking advantage of Mackay at the moment, really just pushing the pace and doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I think that was just a frustration for our foul from Lloyd as well. I mean, she knew that she just let that ball get away from her. She just got a little bit frazzled, turned the ball over, and then came down the other end. It was just a bit of a frustration foul. So I think Mackay just need to settle things down a little bit, not get disheartened by the 12-0 run early on. And just settle down and start playing their game of basketball. I mean, we've seen some of their stats that have been coming through over the season so far, and they've absolutely got the possibility to bring this game back.
Yeah, and Coach Houghton goes to the bench, inserting Virgo and McDermott. So looking for someone to step up, give the bench players an opportunity to make an impact.
Yeah, well, it's a 14-0 run so far. We're almost halfway through the first quarter, so Southern District Spartans definitely coming out with a really nice run early on, playing some very tight defense as well, making Mackay take the deep shots. As Mackay takes another deep one with Aja Parham with a big block. Lloyd coming down with a rebound down on the side, taking away a jump of her own, still unable to find the bottom of the net.
Yeah, and districts going to the bench as well. Preston in as well as Jess McDowell-White. Got to give a shout out to Jess McDowell-White, recently committing to Eastern Washington University. Going to go over to Washington State to play Division I college basketball, so congrats to Jess on the commitment.
Nice little look there on the inside. Mackay with Ravanna Campbell getting the first points on the board for Mackay, but not to be outdone. Jess McDowell-White finding a really, really great pass there into Parham, finishing the basket and drawing the foul for the N1 play as well.
Yeah, Parham just cherry picking a bit there. She never made it back on defense, so Spartans taking advantage of it. Great look there from Jess McDowell-White finding her backcourt partner, Aja Parham.
Parham unable to make the three-point play. Campbell coming down with the nice easy board there for Mackay. As Freeburn settles things down for Mackay. It's a 16-2 run so far. Nice outside pass there, but Bear a little bit too big, pulling the steal for Spartans.
Yeah, that's the second steal in a row there from Bear.
Nice spin move with the left-hand jumper there from Aja Parham on the inside. She's having a great start to the game here this afternoon.
Yeah, she definitely is one of the big beneficiaries of the imports coming in. She struggled a bit when we covered them earlier this season, really having to carry the offensive load almost on her own. Now she becomes a secondary scorer, and that more suits her game, I think, and she's really taking advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. In the seasons we've played her in the past, she definitely does a much better job when she's got that secondary scoring position, whereas, you know, in the first couple of games we covered for Spartan, she was really trying to have to do everything herself. She was having to score, she was having to rebound, she was being the ball carrier, she was kind of doing a little bit of everything, and that just really didn't work for her. She was almost overcommitted to different positions. So having the big presence of Anderson and Bear coming in has really helped her just settle more into a scoring role, and she's absolutely the better for it.
Yeah, Curvan checks in. She comes in for Haynes. Curvan had a pretty good one when we covered them earlier this season, but again, she's a player who now, earlier in the season had been starting, now comes off the bench, and probably more suits her game coming off the bench as well.
Yeah, definitely. The addition of these two imports for Spartans is nothing but a good thing for them. It's given them so much more depth and the ability to bring players like Curvan off the bench to really add in a really strong sixth position on the floor as well. So this is going to be a very, very different Spartans team to what we've seen in the first 6 or 7 games for their season. Freeburn going to work there on the inside for Mackay. Just not able to find the bottom of the net. A little bit too strong on the layup. Spartans going straight back at them, though. No good shot there from Kiovan. Just a little bit too short, hitting the front of the rim.
It's been a pretty fast-paced game. I'm shocked to see that Mackay is really struggling to score. They do have such talented scorers. I think that's a really good decision there, though, by Lloyd. Not settling for a jump shot, trying to force her way to the hoop. Get a couple cheap ones, see a few shots start to fall. Maybe it brings a little more confidence and you shoot the ball a little bit better. Let's see what Lloyd can do from the free throw line.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and that's the thing. I think they've taken a lot of outside shots, Mackay, but they really should be trying to work their way to the inside. Looking at the shot chart in front of me, they've taken 13 shots so far, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those have been three-point jumpers, and 4 of the others have all been, sort of outside the paint as well. So they're not taking inside shot opportunities. So seeing the aggression there on the inside is what I think Mackay needs to do. They need to be showing more aggression, getting 2 feet in the paint, and taking a good scoring opportunity inside.
And getting a few turnovers from Spartans would really help as well. Campbell comes up with a steal, drives right at Bear. She's fouled.
And straight away, with the last 2 passages of play for Mackay, we've seen them go inside and getting the foul from the Spartans as well. So, again, it just goes to show that working their way inside is going to benefit them, and it's gotten points on the board for them so far.
Yeah, and again, a little more aggressive on the defensive side of things, trying to force a few turnovers. That's gives you an opportunity to get a couple cheap buckets as well. You pick up the foul, the clock stops a little bit.
So Campbell goes none from 2 from the free throw line. I think Heidi Freeburn was sneakily trying to cover up some blood there on one of her fingers with a little bit of tape behind the referee's back. So she still stays on the floor, firing away a deep 2. That brings them to 6 for the game. It's good to see that she didn't get subbed out because she just put the points on the board.
Yeah, Freeburn has been doing that in the QBL for a really long time. She's a talented shooter, so Spartans will have to do a better job picking her up and not allowing her open looks like that.
Nice look there from Bear inside to Parham, who goes to the bucket and picks up the foul. I think that one's going to go against number 12, so that will go against Courtney Virgo.
Yeah, that was a great cut there by Parham and a really impressive look there from Bear, finding her cutting to the basket. Good foul. I thought that one was going to go down. Parham really strong. She's got a slight frame, but she's impressively strong.
Yeah, and if Parham makes one of these free throws, that'll be Bear's third assist as well. So she's been doing a really, really great job getting the ball inside, drawing a lot of attention because she is such a big presence down in the block, and then finding the way to dish off that ball for the pass. So unfortunately, she won't get awarded with the assist on that occasion. Parham going 0 from 2 from the free throw line. But nonetheless, it goes to speak about Bear's presence as an offensive player and how she draws the attention and then sets up that handoff.
Yeah, Parham really struggling from the free throw line. She's traditionally been one of the best free throw shooters in the competition for a few years since she's been playing in the QBL, but her free throw struggles continue throughout the season.
Yeah, she's none from 3 so far. She has been struggling across a couple of games that we've seen her play as well, so a little bit unfortunate for her, but I'm sure she'll pick up and start scoring a little bit more from the free throw. She's actually shooting 58% on the season, so she'll be 21 from 40 after those last free throws taken.
Spartans' ball movement has been really impressive, and I think they're doing just really outworking Mackay at the moment, which is surprising. I know, again, we always harp on it with these triple headers, but 3 games in 3 days is really difficult, and I think you can see it in the legs of this Mackay team at the moment.
Yeah, definitely so, and especially when they do have a fairly a starting 5 dominated team as well. So you've got quite a few players. They're going to play almost the full game across 3 games. So, that's 120 minutes worth of basketball that they're going to be playing out on the floor. So it is very, very tough, and there's going to be a lot of tired legs out there. So they just need to try and again, it comes down to my point from earlier, is they just need to take things slow, and they just need to play their own game of basketball and not let what Spartans are doing affect them.
And I think that the previous possession for Mackay, you can really see how Spartans wanted to defend Mackay. Campbell was quadruple teamed and had it stripped from her, so. And then you see a second blown layup there from Mackay. That's just been the story so far. Not being able to convert opportunities, struggling to get points on the board here in the first quarter. It's 20-6 the deficit for Mackay at the moment. And Mackay in his zone, and Spartans just absolutely picking it apart the zone, doing whatever they want to do. It's a really loose zone. That's just lack of communication on Mackay's part.
Yeah, and a little bit of lack of hustle as well. I mean, that was probably one of the slowest cuts I've ever seen, and yet she still got the ball, had plenty of time to turn around and take that set jumper as well. So, as we've always said, triple header is really, really tough, but there needs to be a little bit more aggression coming from Mackay to prevent the easy shots as they go straight back to take another deep 3 as well, as Ambrosia Anderson just drops it. There's just that little bit lack of hustle at the moment from Mackay on defense, and Spartans are absolutely pulling that defense apart, and they're hitting on multiple occasions.
Yeah, and now you have about 4 on the shot clock, or excuse me, the clock. Campbell again long, and she's disappointed with herself. That's the end of the first quarter, though. Not the performance that Mackay was looking for. They're heading into the quarter time break, down 19, 25-6.
Yeah, it is going to be a very, very tough pullback from Mackay here. I think their quarter-time conversation is just going to be about, girls, we just need to start playing our own game of basketball. We know what we need to do, and a great win last night over Brisbane. We were shooting well. We were taking the right shot opportunities. We just need to settle back down again and start playing our game of ball.
They certainly need to do that. It's a good time for a break for them, good time for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that does wrap up the first quarter here on your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia, and we'll be back with you shortly. And back with you here on your QBL Game of the Week. It is 25-6. The Southern District Spartans coming out firing on all cylinders early on in this game against the Mackay Meteorettes. They're shooting 10 from 19 from the field, so they're just finding those open spaces. And as we've said, John, just pulling the Mackay defense apart a little bit and just capitalizing on every open opportunity.
Yeah, and credit to the Spartans. They're really playing some beautiful basketball, moving the ball, ball reversals, really being patient, making that extra pass, and you can see it on the scoreboard. They're up by 19. It's as much as what the Spartans are doing as what the lack of Mackay is doing.
Yeah, definitely so. And there was a nice steal there from Campbell as well, just fighting on the inside key to get that pass away. And the one thing I don't want to see from Mackay here is a lack of confidence. You know, I was kind of trying to listen into their conversation there at quarter time, and a lot of the girls, they did look a little bit beat. They looked a little bit down on themselves, but the last thing they need right now is to lose confidence because they know that they can play a good game of ball. So the last thing they want is to be lacking in confidence and not taking the shots that they know that they can make. You know, they're only shooting 2 from 20 from the field so far in this game, but they can do a lot better than that, and they know that. So they just need to keep their heads up and just start playing their game of basketball.
I think they're a little more engaged to start here this second quarter, but again, another missed layup. That's not helping Mackay at the moment, the missed layup attempts.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, they're getting good opportunities. They're just unable to capitalize. It's really, really tough out there for them at the moment. But the same definitely can't be said for Spartans as Ambrosia Anderson just goes to work from the free throw line for a nice set jumper.
Yeah, Mackay doing an excellent job getting the ball in that high post and then working out of that high post. We've seen Anderson do it with the jump shot. We've seen them do it with the pass as well. So Spartans just hitting on all cylinders at the moment.
And that was a great play there from Zelenka as well, drawing the attention in, finding the open pass out to McDermott on the wing. Again, unable to capitalize, but they're doing some good offensive moves.
Yeah, and that was a good push there from Spartans. Let's see if Campbell could get on track. She's struggling to start the game, and turnover there on that possession, though, hurts Mackay.
A little bit slow back on defense as well from Mackay as well. Spartans not able to capitalize on it, but again, way too easy pass there onto the inside. So Preston barely needed to do anything. She just caught it in the center of the keyway, spun and shot. Yeah, so just lack of communication and defensive hustle.
That was just way too easy. The zone is just not working at the moment for Mackay. And again, the jump shot's not falling.
Yeah, too many jump shots for my liking from Mackay. Like I said earlier, they just need to get themselves inside the paint and start looking for those. I mean, if you're missing layups, you're definitely going to be missing jump shots. They just need to take things a little bit easy, work their way inside as we see some great hustle there from Heidi Freeburn, driving down the center of the court, putting the bucket away and drawing the foul.
Yeah, it's a good push there from Freeburn. That would be a huge help for Mackay if they can get a few easy buckets in transition because they're struggling at the moment. Like we said, Freeburn, though, seeing the lane, hitting it hard, and hitting the shot plus the foul. Want to take this brief moment to thank one of our sponsors, the Australian Sports Network, providing live sports streaming and also graphic system. All the graphics you see throughout the QBL Game of the Week produced and supported by Australian Sports Network and James Bowman down in Sydney.
So Freeburn makes the three-point play there to take the lead back down to only 24 Spartans. So hopefully here, Mackay get themselves a little bit of defensive hustle, get themselves a couple of big stops in a row and start putting some more points on the board.
And you see a 1-3-1 zone here from Mackay, trying to tighten things up a little bit. Spartans being patient, though, doing a good job finding Bear in the corner. Jumper's just a little too long.
Yeah, and it was good to see the change up in the zone there as well, going from the standard 2-3 zone to the 1-2-2. Just gave them a little bit more freedom to move around the outside because a lot of Spartans' points, the ball's getting passed down the center of the keyway and they're getting the inside jumper. So keeping that D nice and tight, definitely helping them, but Zelenka getting there a little bit too late on that occasion. A nice set three-point shot there from Tyre.
Yeah, Taya with another three-pointer. She's having herself a pretty good game here so far to start. And it's a it's an evenly distributed score sheet for Spartans. They've got 7 players on the score sheet already.
Yeah, it's really well shared amongst the Spartans. And as I said, you know, they do have a much deeper team now that they've got those couple of imports coming in to help them out. So they can share the points. And they're doing a really good job as a team as well, passing the ball around. You don't see one single player hogging the ball, trying to do the things themselves. And even then, Jess McDowell-White with a beautiful pass inside, getting the ball to Bayless. I mean, they're just sharing the pill, and that's what you'd love to see, a team that works together, shares the love, and I like when I see almost every player on the score sheet.
Yeah, that was a great dish there from McDowell-White. And that's just, again, it's too easy, though. Mackay not communicating defensively and allowing Spartans to get those easy looks at the basket.
Yeah, and the Warriors continue for Mackay. Heidi Freebom's long bomb there, no good as well. But straight back down, Paige Bayless going 2 in a row, putting another easy layup on the inside.
And that was a great look again by Bear. She's one of the taller players on the floor, but she's got great vision and a great pass on her. She's got a couple of dimes, real nice ones too.
Yeah, got a couple of really nice assists, that's for sure. She's doing some really good work as Jackie Zelenka tries to go to work on the inside. Couldn't manage to get the ball away, but did draw the foul. So that's going to go against Emily Preston, I believe. And so Zelenka will go to the line for 2 and hopefully get a couple extra points on the board.
Emily's first foul, second team foul. Subs both teams. Jess and Emily get a breather. Aja and Beck Haynes are back into the game.
Zelenka is a player that is capable of putting points on the board. However, that was only her, I think it was her second point of the night, those 2 free throws. So
yeah, and Zelenka's been having a fairly good season as well across the board. I mean, she's been shooting at 45% across the entire season. So we know that she can perform at a better wicket as what she is now. It's just that this game, the third on the road, I think, you know, we've always said that teams that can play 3 games in a row are teams that are going to be big competitors for finals because they've got the legs, they've got the depth. It is very, very tough doing that, and it's really starting to show on some of these girls. And, you know, when you've got the final series, which pretty much is 3 games in a row, I mean, it is very, very hard to play across those 3 games.
Oh, it's not pretty much, Regan. It is 3 games in a row if it goes to the 3 games. But, you know, it is a disadvantage in the regular season for these teams because each game is super important. You have to, you know, it affects your spot on the ladder, your 1-loss record. Now that they go with the top 8 teams, regardless of the pool that you're in, all those wins and losses really have a meaning from game 1 to the final game of the season.
Yeah.
However, though, it does prepare you for a 3-game set moving into the future, and you don't see the teams from the South having to go up north and have a 3-game road trip. They'll do a doubleheader and they'll go back-to-back, but never 3 games in a row for them. So I'd love to ask that question. If teams that have those triple headers feel like it is an advantage for them later on in the season, potentially into a final and a grand final.
Yeah, well, exactly it. And like, to be honest, you know, maybe a little bit of a controversial statement coming from me, but I think dismantling the pool system in the QBL is the best thing that Basketball Queensland ever did. Because it was, from my perspective, a very unfair way to actually run the system. So it should always be just the top 8 best teams no matter what. And I think you're right. The triple header early on in the season may be tough while you're still getting used to playing 3 games back-to-back-to-back. But when it comes to that grand final and you're potentially playing 3 games in a row if it goes to the 3rd, you know, that's surely got to help out when you've got a team that's played possibly 3 or even 4 triple headers on the road. You know, that 3rd game, you're going to be used to it. Your legs are going to know how to perform on that 3rd game.
Oh, you'd like to think so. And I like your positive spin on the 3-game road trip, Regan. Have to talk to Coach Trigar and see what he says maybe, or Coach Houghton and see what he thinks. He might not think the same, Coach Houghton, after the way his team's playing at the moment. But maybe if we catch up with him later on in the season, he might have a different opinion.
Yeah, definitely so. And even then, you know, coming 2 from 3 on a 3 triple header road trip isn't that bad either. You know, you got the first 2 wins away under your belt. The 3rd is always going to be tough. But a 2 from 3 road trip is still a good opportunity, especially when, you know, if you do make it into the finals, you know, like I said, I'm a firm believer that that's going to help you win that 3rd grand final. Because if you're used to playing 3 in a row, that's got to help, surely.
Well, I don't know. I've never done it, so we'll have to talk to one of the players who's experienced it. But I do agree with you. I think it certainly is an advantage. And we do see these days, you know, a lot of times teams will come down and they will have those multiple 3-game road trips. So you would think that they'd be used to it towards a final series or grand final series potentially. Yeah,
definitely so. And I think they need to make things, you know, fair across all the boards. I'd love to see a team do a Cairns, Townsville, Mackay road trip.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Well, it's only a 4-hour road trip between each of those towns. You could do that in 3 days.
And, you know, I've heard chatter and talk that people think maybe all of the final series should be 3-game sets. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that would just be way too expensive for clubs and associations to foot the bill on that. But I do think that they need to come up with a way to reward the teams that finish at the top of the ladder. Maybe have a similar system to the NRL where they give you, if you finish in the top 4 and you lose in the first round, or the top 2 and you lose in the first round, you get to come back maybe. Because we saw it last year with the Capitals. Capitals finished top of the ladder. They got upset in the first round. And they go home. So you don't really necessarily. Home court advantage certainly is a reward, but you'd like to see it be a little more of a reward for finishing in the top 2 spots.
Yeah, definitely so. And like, I'd love to see them change things up a little bit again. And I think the NRL system is a really good way of giving teams the recognition and the reward, because the last thing you want is a team to come into the final series as the minor premiers and then get knocked out in the first season just because they're not quite on top of their game for that particular round. So I think something like that would be great. I don't think it's practical to do 3-game series for quarter and semi-finals, because as you said, it's going to be too expensive. It's going to be a lot of flights, a lot of accommodation for many, many teams. And, you know, I like the fact that it's just the grand final. It's a 3-game spectacle, because it really does bring to light how good these 2 teams that have made it to the grand finals are, and it gives them the chance to battle it out across 3 games.
You know, we saw it with the women's grand final between Spartans and Mackay last season. It finished in 2 games, but they were 2 cracking games. And then in the men's competition, it was a 3-game set, and they were all 3 were really excellent games as well. So you really do get to showcase the 2 best teams that finish in the grand final. So I think there's places that you can potentially improve it, but I think it's pretty good also where we have it at the moment.
Yeah, definitely so. I think the QBL's come a long way in the last couple of years, and where we're at now is a really, really good position. We're getting bigger and better crowds. Last night, shout out to our game then, Logan brought home a really, really nice game, and there was a big crowd. Here at the Southern District Spartans, we're starting to get more and more people rolling in as well. So, you know, the QBL is becoming a massive competition. It's getting better with every single year, which is really, really great to see.
And I think Mackay's improving their play as well. They're starting to hit on a few transition buckets. They're chipping away, but they're down 18. I think their Spartan shots are starting to miss a bit, and Mackay's really doing a good job taking advantage of those misses.
Yeah, Aja Paran with the very, very nice little steal there. Going for the one-handed shot and picking up the foul from Campbell on the drive to the basket. But Mackay's definitely come a long way just in the period of the 5 minutes when we were talking smack, Johnny. I mean, they've put 10 extra points on the board, so they've really started to pick up. They're getting some active hands on defense. They're reaching in, they're getting the steals, and they're actually converting down their end of the court. So they're starting to fight back a little bit, showing a little bit more aggression defensively, and the shots are finally starting to work for them as well, which is really great to see.
Yeah, we saw them hit their first 3-pointer of the afternoon, which is a big bonus for them. I think defensively they're kind of tightening things up a little bit, getting a few stops. So that's helping them push the ball in transition, and they've been able to get a few fast break buckets, which always helps.
And Parham goes 2 from 2 to take that lead back out to 24 Spartans. But as we said, Mackay definitely starting to fire on a little bit here, putting some points on the board. So it's going to start being an interesting last 2 minutes of this second quarter here, as Heidi Freeburn settles over the far 3-point corner. Shot clock works its way down as Campbell fires away a long 3. No good, but Lloyd coming down with a good offensive board on that occasion. So Mackay definitely starting to settle things down a bit, taking some good looks and actually working to get those offensive boards, because they haven't pulled many in the game so far. And again, good aggression from Lloyd driving down the center of the court to try and put the shot away.
There's a really nice take there from Lloyd. And she'll get the opportunity now to take a couple free throws, get a few cheap, easy buckets.
And that foul's going against Jess McDowell-White, so that'll only be her first as well. Been a very good defensive game so far from both teams. No one really getting themselves in early foul trouble, which is good to see.
Well, certainly individually. I would argue that Mackay didn't really play much defense in that first quarter. But I think they're finally finding their legs, and they're certainly starting to up their play level.
A little bit of miscommunication there from Spartans, but Luckily able to come down with it. A nice step back jumper there from Anderson after recovering that loose pass.
Yeah, she's got a really nice looking left-handed jump shot. She's been pretty impressive this afternoon.
Yeah, she's been having a great game on all cylinders. She's really been firing. She's only got a couple of points on the board. I think that shot puts her on 7, but it's definitely offensively she's been active in cutting, getting the ball, finding the nice little dish passes as well. So she's been really, really good tonight.
And I think you look at the score sheet for Spartans, we said it before, but just really spreading the scoring load, which is a credit to them because they're passing up good opportunities for better opportunities, playing as a real team, and just everyone's getting an opportunity to get shots, and they're all good shots, which has been really impressive for me as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best example of that is, has to be Romy Bear. I mean, she's only got 2 points on the board, but she's got 6 rebounds and 3 assists. And realistically, she probably should have had 4 or 5 assists if a couple of free throws had been made early on. So it's all about that really great offensive hustle and just working as a team. As we see there, beautiful selfless pass from Aja Parham going inside and Henderson just finishing on the inside.
Yeah, it's just really nice basketball to watch. Ball movement, moving the defense side to side with the pass, and that's what you love to see. That's basketball to me.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, when we covered Spartans earlier on in the season, that was not a grand final team that we watched. I mean, when we had a couple of their games, we watched them versus Southwest Metro, and I can't remember the second game, but that was not a team that was going to be competitive coming into finals. The team out here on the floor tonight, this is a grand final playing team. I mean, they're working as a team, they're being selfless, they're firing on literally every single cylinder possible. And if they keep playing like this, they could really take the likes of Townsville and the the Sunshine Coast Phoenix. They could make them work for that finals position. So they're playing a really great game of ball, and they're showing that they are a force to be reckoned with coming into finals time.
Yeah, they've been impressive in this first half, doubling up on Mackay. They'll have an opportunity. There's about a second and a half difference between the shot and the game clock. But Spartans definitely announcing themselves as contenders as far as I'm concerned.
And Anderson once again just firing away, and that shot was wet. Lloyd finishing up with the last shot of the game. A little bit too strong, bouncing off the back of the rim to end the quarter. It is 47-22, so Spartans extending their lead out to 25 coming into halftime. Mackay's got a lot of work to do in the second.
They certainly do have a lot of work to do in the second. It was a better second quarter for Mackay offensively and at times defensively. I think they need to really tighten the defensive strings if they want to get themselves back into this. They have to get some stops and then capitalize on the other end as well. But really impressive first half from Spartans. I don't want to knock Mackay all that much because Spartans were just really, really good in that first half. Excellent ball movement, really good communication defensively, patience on offense, moving the ball, attacking gaps, and taking the better shot when they had a good shot, like I said, making that extra pass for a better shot.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the Spartans 47 points into the half. It's more about the way that they've been playing more so than how Mackay's been playing. I mean, they're just playing as such a selfless team, and they're working amazingly together. So it's going to be a really good second half of basketball, and if Mackay's legs do start running out, Spartans have the chance to get this easily into triple digits. So it is a 47-22 lead. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half, but it is halftime, so we're going to take a break. But don't go anywhere, guys, because we do have the second half of this QBL Game of the Week coming up for you shortly. And as always, this is presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And we're back with you here from Roland Cowan Stadium in the Southern Districts as the Spartans continue to take on the Mackay Meteorettes. We're just under a minute to go in the third quarter, and it's a 47-22, quite commanding lead for the Southern District Spartans. So what's it showing on the stat sheet, Johnny?
Well, I think when you look at the Spartans in the first half, they shot just a shy under 56% from the field, 19 field goals, 15 assists. So that goes back to what we were saying, Regan. Good ball movement, sharing the ball, getting everyone involved. Top scorer for Spartans in that first half was Ambrosia Anderson, 12 points. She also had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. She was 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from deep. Aja Parham had 10 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. They have 8 players on the score sheet with at least 2 points, if not more. And then Mackay just absolutely, pretty much the opposite. 7 of 35 from the field, only 1 of 10 from 3. They did do a pretty decent job on the glass, 8 offensive rebounds, 22 overall, but they did have 8 turnovers in that half.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be a tough job here from Mackay to try and work themselves back into this game. But let's see if that halftime motivational conversation from Ian Horton, the coach, brings them back into competition with Spartans, because it is going to be a very, very tough fight to close this 25-point gap. But we know they've got it in them to score 80 points a game. So, you know, you never know. They might come out firing all cylinders. But Jackie Zelenka firing a bit of a loose one there over the top. But Campbell pulling the offensive board, scoring the putback and getting the foul as well.
Campbell's on her way to a double-double. That's now 9 points and 8 rebounds for Campbell. So with the free throw, it'll put her into double figures. And then she's got to work a little harder on the glass to get that double-double.
Yeah, well, I definitely think double-doubles going to absolutely happen. I mean, she's going to score at least one of these, and a couple of rebounds aren't going to be too hard to go. So there we go. So she gets the free throw as well. So closing the gap a little bit. But she's been having an absolutely astounding season for Mackay. I mean, she's just been playing a really nice game. I mean, obviously the triple header is a little bit of a tough situation, but over the whole season, she's been playing really, really well.
She's certainly one of the top imports, and I think Spartans did a really good job against her in the first half. Here comes Mackay, a 4-on-2. Mackay, though, loses it out of bounds.
And when you look at the stats across the entire season, Johnny, just speaking of Campbell again, she's actually the leading rebounder in the league for average offensive rebounds per game at 5.3, and she's the second total rebounder in the league, averaging 16.1 per game. The only person in front of her is Amanda Johnson from the Ipswich Force, so she's an absolutely competitive force under that bucket.
Yeah, well, she's about halfway there to her season average of 5 offensive rebounds. She's got 3 already this afternoon.
So nice defensive play there from Mackay, getting them the ball back, getting a nice stop on the Spartans, so not letting them put any points on the board early on. So let's see if they can capitalize as Jackie Zelenka goes to work on the inside. Nice kick out pass to Lloyd. Sharing the love, good fake there for Heidi Freeburn, just can't capitalize on the shot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a zone for Spartans as Taya fires a 3 that's short, but I think Spartans doing a really good job trying to control or limit the opportunities inside for Mackay.
Yeah, and really nice opportunity there for Mackay as well. But again, it's becoming a common theme. They do a lot of really hard work to find an open shot, and they just can't capitalize. So it's not for a lack of trying or a lack of teamwork. Finding the momentum, passing the ball around, they just can't seem to find their shooting rhythm.
And credit to the Spartans defense, putting them under a lot of pressure and forcing them into tough looks.
And there goes Ravanna Campbell firing away the 3. That was a really nice passage to play, catching the Spartans a little bit off guard. They thought they were going to get the turnover, and you saw 2 of the girls starting to run towards halfway, leaving Campbell wide open on that 3 when they recovered.
Hey, you'll take that for Mackay. You'll take the broken play 3 for sure.
Spartans going to work with a nice little inside, almost no-look pass to Beck Haynes on the inside for the 2. That was just clockwork for them.
Yeah, it's just, again, beautiful offense from Spartans. Chatted to a couple of people in the stadium about it at halftime. They're just playing really beautiful basketball. It's really nice to watch.
Yeah, it really is. It's a much more composed, much better team than what we saw from earlier in the season. So they're just having an absolutely outstanding game here tonight as Jackie Zelenka goes to work under the bucket for Mackay to put a couple of points on the board.
Yeah, that's a great block, though, by Parham on Campbell. Good recovery, though, by Zelenka to get the 2.
And what a downtown shot there from Ambrosia Anderson with the almost fadeaway tray.
Man, she's looking like James Harden out there, the left-hander.
Campbell with it for Mackay now. Kicks out. Heidi Freeburn just unable to maintain possession as she steps out of bounds on the catch.
That's a tough one. Campbell a little overexcited on the cross-court pass there. A little too high for Freeburn.
Yeah, good to see the gap closing down a little bit. Down to 22 points to lead for Spartans, but Mackay being a lot more aggressive offensively. Doing some really nice work to get the ball inside as Jess McDowell-White loses control there a little bit, but ball bouncing off the leg of Heidi Freeburn. Miscommunication there on the Mackay defense, leaving Beck Haynes wide open for the triple, but Campbell coming down with another board. That puts her into double digits, so she's just got to, that is the double-double.
That's the double-double there. Really nice stat line here from Campbell, but I think Mackay needs her to start putting the ball in the basket a little more.
So Spartans with it now again with another opportunity as Aja Parham driving down the center, drawing the attention, leaving a wide open Taya for that three.
I don't know what I did here. My clock reset. Sorry, I'll fix it up in a second.
So it is about 5 minutes 40 into the third quarter. Sorry, to go in the third quarter. Jackie Zelenka with it in the keyway. Heidi Freeburn now as the shot clock rolls into single digits. She goes to work. Nice little fake out on Jess McDowell-White as she goes for the left-hand layup for two. Right idea there from Parham, trying to get the inside pass. A little bit too ambitious though, but Beck Hands coming down with the steal. Going to work as Emily Preston with a nice support activity there on the left-hand side for the drive for two.
And that's Beck Haynes to a T right there. Really just aware, involved, engaged from the start of the play to the finish. She goes 100% every time she's out on the floor.
Yeah, a little bit too active there with the hands. Taya just picking up that foul there on Lloyd. So 3 team fouls to 0 here in the game. So Spartans get themselves in a little bit of a foul trouble. 5 minutes to go and they're on 3. So they'll just need to step back their defense a little bit and just watch how much they're reaching in. Heidi Freeburn with a nice inside drive to kick out to Lloyd for the 3, but her shot no good either.
Man, Mackay just cannot see a shot from deep go down. They have only 1 3-pointer. And you see Ash Taya hit another 3-pointer herself. So that's been a big difference in this game. Mackay struggles from deep, and Spartans continue to fire away from 3.
Yeah, Spartans just on the money from 3. I mean, that's 4 from 7 for Taya to shoot over 50%. And as a team from three-point land, they're 8 from 15. So again, shooting above 50% from three-point land is a really great team statistic.
They're doing a really nice job, and it's not off of just stop and pop. I mean, they're moving the ball, getting it inside and out, and just taking the right shot. Spartans have been super impressive this afternoon.
Yeah, some really great offensive movement. Complete selflessness from all players, and at the same time, like, Mackay just needs to make sure they're getting out and getting that hand in the face, because a lot of those three-point shots that have dropped have been completely uncontested.
Probably just a bit forced there from Willis. Not the best idea. Spartans really playing towards Campbell. They're cheating towards her and double teaming, sometimes even triple, and we saw earlier in the first half quadruple teaming Campbell. So Campbell obviously a key in the scout for the Spartans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart defensive play from Spartans. Campbell's the only player in double digits for Mackay, and she's one of the highest scoring players on their team across the league as well. So really smart decision there from Spartans to keep an eye on her and to watch her scoring ability, because if she goes on a roll, she can be incredibly dangerous. I mean, she's made 57 field goals in the entire season, so that definitely would have been a part of the scout from the Spartans, and they're doing a really great job of closing her out, double teaming her, and making it as hard as possible for her to score.
And you see just playing off of Mackay. That's going to be a turnover from the Meteorettes. Just a great job defensively from Spartans. Spartans allow it. They seem to be happy to let Campbell take jumpers if she wants to. Every time she puts the ball on the floor, though, you can see the defense collapse inside and really try and force her to kick it and get the ball out of her hands.
Yeah, well, Mackay's shooting percentage from deep has not been good in this game. So, yeah, they're more than willing to let her take that deep jump shot, but they're trying to prevent her from getting inside, which is a smart way to play the defense.
Yeah, they're doing an excellent job. And, you know, Mackay, you can see the frustrations. When you have a 24-second violation like Mackay just did, you're just not communicating. You're not game aware.
As we said, Campbell just left to her own devices on the three-point land. Successful on that occasion.
And that might open things up. If she can start to hit a couple of threes, it might really open things up for her on the drive, which she seems to prefer as opposed to shooting.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's been shooting really well from the three-point line. I mean, that's 3 from 4 for her. So she's shooting 75% from 3. So she has been having a good game from deep. Spartans just happy to let her take that. And just they don't want her inside, taking the easy layup and getting those offensive boards. Jess McDowell-White just stepping on the line as she takes a deep shot for a very nice little two-point roller.
They're really excited to see what Jess can do over in the States at Eastern Washington. It's a really solid program. They've had quite a few Australians through the program as well. And I just think heading overseas for Jess is going to really help her game. And she's going to come back a much more diverse, complete player. She's already a very complete player. But I think going over to the college system is going to really see her game grow leaps and bounds.
Yeah, absolutely. She's going to come back into the QBL next year, and she's going to be a whole world better than what she is now. That college system, especially with Eastern Washington as well, I mean, really, really great school. So she's going to have a great time over there as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think for us in the QBL, I think she won't be able to play QBL anymore because she'll be in the college system. At the Division I level, you can't play with anyone really who gets paid. So I think this will be the last time we see her in the QBL for a little while until her college career is finished.
There you go. I don't know why I thought they could still play as long as they weren't getting paid, but there you go. I learned something today, Johnny.
There you go.
Very, very ambitious one-handed pass there from Heidi Freebaum, about 6.5 feet too high for Campbell to try and catch that one.
Yeah, it was the right idea, just poor execution by Freeburn. And I think that's, that one play right there, it was there for them and then just overcooked it really. And I think that goes to show a lot how Mackay has really played in this game so far.
That was a nice inside-outside play there from Mackay, though. Heidi Freeburn drawing all the attention as she penetrated into the center of the key. Kicking out, and a really nice finish there from Virgo as well. Just taking her time, set shot, and just finishing as well. So really great scoring opportunity there from Mackay.
Yeah, and that's well, one of the things that you want to see out of Mackay, the dribble penetration with the kick out and able to convert. I'm not ready to say the game's over, but it's almost a little bit too late for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, Mackay could pull anything out of the basket in the fourth quarter. I mean, 24 points is going to be very difficult to pull back. But from Mackay, I just want to see a really nice, clean fourth quarter. I just want to see them come out firing. I want to see good offensive sets. I want to see a lot of ball movement and just some really nice scoring opportunities like we saw there from Freeburn and Virgo. You know, I just want to see them play really nice fourth quarter basketball because we only see them, I think, once more again by the end of the season, don't we, John? And when we cover them later in the year, I really want to see a more complete Mackay team.
Yeah, I think that they'll go back to this and say that, and clearly see that they didn't play their best game. And there's definitely areas that they want to improve on. I'm pretty confident to say that this Mackay team should be a finals team. I'm not ready to call them a semifinalist or grand final team, but I'd be surprised if we didn't see them finish in the 8 and give it a good red-hot shot in the finals.
So shot clock and game clock down to 17 seconds. So Spartan's going to get to hold for the last shot of the quarter. Just taking things nice and easily. It's 25 points of difference at the moment as well. So Mackay doing a good job to hold that position and not lose any additional ground. Long shot there is no good from Anderson to wrap up the quarter. Mackay may get to take a shot, but they will not. So still 25 points of difference. It is 67-42. So Mackay doing a good job to hold out and maintain their position. So not a bad quarter from Mackay, but they needed to break away some of that deficit to try and remain competitive in the fourth. They just couldn't quite get there.
And Spartans took a couple of shots early, but then they righted the ship, and they're back out by 25. It's going to be really difficult for Mackay to get themselves back in this one. We'll see what happens, though, with the fourth quarter coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll wait and see how it unfolds. But it is a 67-42 lead here for the Spartans as we continue to bring you the QBL Game of the Week presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And back with you here from Roland Cowan Stadium as we bring you the Southern District Spartans versus the Mackay Meteorettes in your QBL Game of the Week. It's a 25-point lead for the Spartans. Mackay got a lot of work to do in this last quarter to try and hold out and not lose any more of the ground that they're going to have to make up. So very, very tough job on their hands. But got to shout out to the Spartans because they are a whole new team compared to what we saw earlier in the season. And they've been playing absolutely beautiful all day today, John.
They've been absolutely fantastic. Still shooting the ball at an extremely, extremely impressive, efficient clip. 56% from the field. Still at 50% from three. You've got Ambrosia Anderson leading all scorers with 18. Ravenna Campbell for Mackay also with 18. But Spartans have 3 players in double figures. Ashtaya's got 14. Aja Parham has 12 as well. But just really sharing the load quite a bit on the Spartan side of things. It's not definitely over, but it's almost as close to being over as it possibly could be.
Yeah, it'd be a very big task for Mackay to pull back a 25-point deficit, especially off the triple header as well. So clearly the legs are starting to go a little bit. They've had a bit of a tough day today here. But look, they've still played some really, really nice passages of basketball. And, you know, I think the team that we're seeing here today is not truly indicative of the Mackay team that you would see on a normal round where they play one game. So it is going to be interesting for them. I agree with what you said earlier. I think they are definitely capable of being a finals team coming into the quarters. So it's going to be interesting to see. They just need to piece together a couple of plays here in this last quarter to really try and finish things home strong and to go away from the game with a little bit of confidence. They did do a couple of really, really good things right.
Yeah, there's definitely some positives. I think Mackay really needs their imports like Lloyd and Campbell to have big games. Campbell's having a decent game, probably not a super efficient game, but Lloyd's been pretty quiet. Lloyd coming into the fourth had 6 points, 2 assists, 13 rebounds, but 5 turnovers, and had yet to hit a field goal. So when you hold one of the imports to no field goals, it's going to hurt you. When you bring in imports, you need them to be impactful. She's doing a good job on the glass, but they need her to score some points.
Yeah, 0 from 11 from the field. It's a bit of a tough position to be in as an import as well. So, again, it just goes to show it's been a bit of a tough day here for her on the triple header. But she's been playing a really great season across the board as well. So, again, you know, it's not indicative of what she would normally be playing because when you go back and look at the season statistics, she's made 53 field goals from 117 attempts. So she has had a really great season. She's been performing well. It's just been a really tough day across the board for Mackay here at Roland Cowan.
Definitely been tough, but they're going to battle right to the end.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to give in. They're going to play it tough all the way through to the last buzzer sounds. Just picking up a little bit of a foul there as well. So Spartans going to take it in from the baseline. Both teams been doing pretty good in terms of keeping themselves out of foul trouble across the board. I mean, I don't think we've commented on any foul situations so far. So it's been a very, very good defensive effort across the board in terms of fouls. I mean, as we sort of said, it's been a bit of a lack of defense across the board, not necessarily just because of the foul side of things.
Well, I give credit to the referees also. I think they've done an excellent job in this game. They're letting the teams play physically and not being overly aggressive in there with their whistle. I think they're done a really good job allowing both teams to play their style of basketball.
Yeah, they've been doing a really, really good job of just letting the game do its thing, having, you know, it's a really good indication of a strong refereeing team when, you know, they have no impact on the game whatsoever, and you barely even notice that they're out there because the game is just doing its thing. Everything is obvious, and you don't actually notice that they're there, which is a really big positive for them.
Yeah, give credit to the referees, Maddie Crowley
and Jackie Jordan.
(72-45) the score. Don't forget, we will have the men's game between the Mackay Meteors and the Brisbane Southern District Spartans coming up after this one. That should be an excellent game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We were saying before at quarter time, we saw Adam Gibson walking into the stadium as well. So, I mean, there's going to be some big players on either team as well. So it's going to be a really, really great game, that men's matchup.
Get Lloyd there for the travel. She just kind of caught it on her shoulder, took a jump stop, and then a couple steps.
Yeah, tough day here today for Lloyd, unfortunately. Foot violation there as Parham's pass gets stopped going into the keyway.
It's an interesting defense that Mackay is playing here. It's man-to-man, but they're really trying to pack it inside the paint. That could cause themselves some trouble because they've lost Ambrosia Anderson a few times, and she's made them pay. They're kind of helping off of Anderson, and that's probably not the best idea.
Yeah, it is an interesting sort of man-to-man, but almost like a loose 1-2-2 zone as well kind of thing. It's a bit of an interesting play, especially when Spartans are shooting at 50% from three-point land as well. So, you know, they've proven that they can hit those deep shots. So letting them have a little bit of freedom on the outskirts is not necessarily a good way to be playing.
And you just see the jump shots, they're just not there for Mackay. I haven't really been there all day.
Great inside passage of play there, finding the wide open Bayless on the inside for the easy putback, easy shot.
That was just a great seal there and great recognition to get Bayless the pill.
Yeah, Lloyd again trying to go to work on the inside, firing away a wild one.
It's just been super impressed though with Spartans. Anderson's been great. Beck Haynes has been excellent. Parham has had a great game as well. Ash Taya has really added another dimension to the team. She's been shooting the ball incredibly this afternoon. And, you know, Bear, I think we saw her in the first half. She went down along the baseline. I hope that she's okay because she was really impressive as well with her vision and her passing as well as her shooting ability. You know, the Spartans team was absolutely loaded last year. They went through undefeated. Obviously, they're not going to go through this season undefeated, but talent-wise, I would put this team that we're seeing here this afternoon at a very similar level to what we saw from Spartans last year.
Yeah, definitely so. And the women's competition this year is incredibly competitive as well. I mean, we've seen some amazing matchups so far. I personally haven't seen the Sunshine Coast Phoenix play, but they're an amazing team as well. They've got some really great deep talent in their side. So you've got the likes of the Spartans, Townsville, Southwest, Ipswich. There's a lot of teams at the top end of the ladder in the women's competition that, you know, it is hard to call who's going to end up in the final 8, well, and who's going to make their way through the finals, because this is a very deep women's competition this year.
It is very deep. You know, we saw Townsville last night, the Flames. They were really impressive in their win against Logan. And then it hit me that Spartans went up to Townsville and absolutely shellacked the Flames last weekend. So it's hard to really see a team that stands out. But when Spartans play like they're playing today, they're going to be super difficult to beat. We've seen the Pirates quite a few times this season. We'll have them again next week as they host Logan in the Carly Adams Charity Shield matchup. They're also one of the top teams, and they'll have certainly have a lot to say about those grand final spots heading into towards the end of the season. So, like you said, Regan, just a really even competition on the women's side of things. It's very, very difficult to see who's going to be in that grand final. You can kind of throw a few names out there, and they may or may not stick.
Yeah, and that's the hard part about it is, there's so many good teams, but there's a lot of big matchups coming in the next couple of weeks. So those top spots are anyone's, they're anyone's possibility. And it's going to be a really great end half to the season, especially with Southern Districts being a full team now and really competing out on the floor. They're putting 81 points on the board with 5 minutes to go in the fourth. Bear has only played 10 minutes as well after that fall. I haven't seen her back out on the bench. I don't know whether she's still in the change room, so hopefully it's not too bad an injury for her. But she's only played 10 minutes, and she was a massive impact in that 10 minutes as well. So when she gets healthy again and she's playing a full 35 minutes of basketball, she's going to be another big player to add to this Southern Districts team.
Yeah, she was great in her minutes early, so I certainly would think that she'll be another weapon for the Spartans to use out on the floor. Didn't really notice to see if she was out on the bench to start the half, but we definitely haven't seen her on the floor.
Ash Tyre, again, just going to absolute work on the inside as well. She's been such a strong player offensively in this game here. She's got 17 points on the board, and only from 20 minutes of play as well. So she's been doing a really, really good job for the Spartans. And again, that just goes to show her work ethic, just getting the ball on the inside and really fighting through tough defense to get herself to the free throw line.
Yeah, she's been very impressive this afternoon, like we said, doing it on the inside, especially on the outside as well.
Yeah, so that second free throw puts her on 18 points for the game as well. So she ties all scorers with Anderson on 18 and off less minutes as well. So she's been doing a really, really great job. It's going to be an offensive foul called there on Campbell. The game clock rolls down into the final 5 minutes of the last quarter here. Southern District Spartans get themselves a commanding 32-point lead, so I do believe it is all but over as Esther Rarea checks in for the Spartans as well. So getting a couple of minutes, nice three-point opportunity there on the far three-point line for her. The offensive rebound, ball passed around, ends up with the hands of Parham, and she fires a nice little elbow.
And Parham's got it going on. She's just really impressive. She's shooting it with a lot of confidence here today. And like we said, once you see one go down, the rest start to flow a little bit easier.
Yeah, Parham's been having a really, really great night as well. That shot takes her to 20 points for the Spartans as well. So she's been having another really, really great game here today.
Look at the scoring for Spartans. You've got 3 players in double digits. You've got 9 people on the scoreboard with at least 2 points. So, like we said, it's been a really impressive team performance from Spartans.
Yeah, when everyone that's checked onto the court, with the exception of Esther Rauria and Jameson McMullen, everyone that's touched the floor has scored some points because there is that much of a team ethic, and that 33 shots have been made, and they've got where's my assist? 26. So 34 shots, 26 assists. It just goes to show how good that ball movement is.
Yeah, it's been really good. They have not settled for shots. The shots that they're taking are usually coming off of some swing pass or a pass, and they're hitting them. So it's just been, can't say it enough. I've been super impressed with Spartans.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and
absolutely.
stop being repetitive now and saying the same thing over and over again.
I think it's something that we have to keep coming back to, though, Johnny, because, when we look at the way that they've been playing and commenting on the plays that they've had, I mean, they have been really impressive. I mean, there's no other way to say it. A tired Mackay team They were always going to have a tough matchup coming against Spartans, especially when they've got fresh legs as well, because this is their first game of the week. You know, it was going to be a tough matchup, but Spartans have well and truly impressed me here today, especially after the games we covered earlier in the season. You know, they've gone from 0 to 130 in the space of a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they've been really, you know, we keep talking about them offensively, but I also want to give them credit defensively. I think they've done exactly what their coaching staff has asked of them. They did a really good job forcing Mackay to shoot the ball from outside and not at the same time contesting those shots. You know, I know the shots weren't necessarily falling for Mackay, as you see Zelenka get the bucket plus the foul. But I think a lot of that had to do with Spartans. They threw man-to-man. They threw a few different looks at them and did a really nice job defensively. They really pretty much shut down Mia Lloyd. Ruvana Campbell, you know, you look at the numbers, and they're pretty good numbers, but she struggled to put the ball in the bucket, and especially in that first half.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, they've been mixing up the defense as well to really try and compete with how Mackay were playing. And even on the rebound side of things, I mean, they've been sharing the love, and every single player has been crashing the boards and really working towards getting the rebounds. I mean, you've got Bear and Anderson on 6 apiece, Ty and Haynes on 4, McDowell White on 5. Like, they're sharing the love with the rebounds, and they've just got such a good defensive ethic that every shot they're crashing the rebounds. Even on that three-point play we just saw where Ty hit the 3, every single player around the outside, they all went in and crashed the rebounds. I mean, it wasn't there to rebound, but that's the kind of thing you want to see, that every single shot is your players are crashing in, getting those boards.
And Ashtea just picked up her 5th personal. I think she's had enough. She did her job today, 21 points. Really, really great shooting from Ashtea.
Yeah, really great performance overall, hitting a large number of points. Really great plus-minus percentage as well, and she's just been firing all around. So really, really good performance from her. Unfortunate to have to check out with 2.5 minutes to go, but a great game all round.
Yeah, I think her job's done here, though. Her team's up 30 with 2:10 to go. I think she could hang her head and be happy with the job she did this afternoon for Spartans.
Yeah, she'd be incredibly impressed with the game that she's had, and she's led a lot of plays for her teammates as well. I mean, she's checking out with a couple of assists to her name as well. So really good performance here, and they just keep putting on the points as well, getting themselves up to 90. Could end in the triple digits if they get a couple away here in the last few minutes.
Well, I think you'll see Spartans try and run some offense. They've got the bench on the floor at the moment, so I think the coaching staff will be looking for them to run good offense.
Yeah, and that was a good opportunity there. Nice set shot on the outside for Esther Barrera as well. Wasn't able to get the points on the board and get a name on the stat sheet, but a good shot opportunity. And again, Southern District's really working their plays and passing the ball around.
Yeah, good ball reversal. It was a good look, but just didn't go down. Campbell going to take a seat. You'd think she'd be done for the night.
Yeah, and again, she's done her job here tonight as well. I mean, she's had a really, really great performance, and we've said it a couple of times. Mackay's had a really, really tough game here today, but Campbell's come out, and she's had probably one of the best games across the board, including the Spartans. I mean, you look at her on the stat sheet, she's got 24 points, 14 massive rebounds, 6 steals, an assist to her name as well. So she's had a really great performance out on the floor, and she's just an absolute asset to this Mackay team, and she's been playing really, really good.
Zelenka still working hard. Gets to the bucket again and draws another foul on the Spartans. She'll go back to the free throw line for a couple of shots.
Yeah, she's done that quite a few times tonight. She's really driven at the Spartans defenders, tried to draw all that attention to her, driven the through and taken that shot and drawn the foul. Because these will be her 6th and 7th free throws of the night. And Zelenka checks out of the game as well, subbing in for Wills. Willis, sorry, if I can read. I need my glasses. Johnny, I need your glasses again.
No. These are killer, these glasses, I promise you. You don't realize how blind I am until you try them on.
Nice little three-point tray there from Emily Preston. Nice offensive play there from Mackay, passing the ball around the outside, playing a really good set motion, getting it there to the inside to Disteldorf. Unfortunately, couldn't get the points on the board, but a really good set offense. So 30 seconds on the game clock. Southern District Spartans about 12 seconds to fire away as Esther Raria takes another three-point bomb. She's had 4 threes and hit none of them. Offensive board on the wide side there. Passing into Esther, and she managed to get the points away to get 95 total for Spartans. And again, a strong offense there from McDermott. Driving through the center, drawing the foul as well. So she'll go to the line for 2. McDermott makes the first. And the second as well. There is 17 seconds to go in the game. Southern District Spartans going to hold things out, and they'll take the last shot opportunity, I would imagine, to finish things up here. As Jamison McMullen takes a wide 2, no good, but the offensive rebound ends with a long tray bomb from Esther Raria, and no good. So that ends the game with a 95-61 win for the Southern District Spartans. And we've said it a couple of times, John, but we'll say it one more time before we wrap things up. This is a completely different Southern Districts team from what we've seen earlier in this season. And boy, are they a force to be reckoned with, because they played absolutely beautifully tonight.
Yeah, excellent performance by Spartans. A real statement from them. 95-61 over a team that most likely they may have to face off against again at some point later on in the final series. Really impressed with Anderson, Bear. Taya as well did a really excellent job this afternoon. And like we said to start, when you bring in these imports and a player like Taya who can contribute tremendous numbers like they did today, it puts those players that had that starter's experience onto the bench, and then it just strengthens the team across the board. It allows you to rely on your bench a little bit more, and they just, the Spartans really just showed out this afternoon. They were excellent from start to finish, and really just absolutely took Mackay out right from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just from the minute they took the floor to here this afternoon, they were just firing on every single still and had a really great game. So to quickly run you through a couple of stats on the board, Tyre and Parham ending on the top of the scoreboard with 20 points apiece. Anderson closely followed by 18. Really sharing the love with 9 out of 11 players on the score sheet, getting some points on the board as well. And again, sharing the rebounding love around as well. And then jumping down, you've got to shout out to Campbell for Mackay. 24 points, 14 rebounds, having a really great 6 steals as well. So a really good game from Campbell. And Mia Lloyd, while she didn't get a lot of points on the board, she had 14 rebounds as well. So a really great performance across those 2 players for Mackay. Really tough game for them, unfortunately, on the triple-header road game. But that does wrap things up here for us. It is 95-61 on your QBL Game of the Week. But don't forget to tune in for the next week's game. As John said earlier, we are back at the Pirate Ship, taking on the Southwest Metro Pirates versus Logan Thunder in the Carly Adams Foundation Charity Shield. So make sure you get yourselves down there or tune into the stream if you're not able to, because that's going to be a really, really great game, especially after the way we saw Logan playing last night. They were starting to piece together some really nice passages of play. And Southwest, obviously, they've had 2 losses now, so starting to struggle a little bit. But it's going to be a great game to see. So make sure you tune in or get yourself down to the stadium, and we'll talk you through what the Carly Adams Foundation Shield is when we're there as well. But that tunes things out for us here this afternoon. Don't forget to stick around and watch the men's game with us, as always. And my name is Regan Baker. I've got to thank John Guana on the commentary with me, Chris Sieber on the camera, James Bowman down in Sydney helping us out with all the graphics and everything you see here today. So thanks again, guys, and stick around for the men's game. We'll be back with you shortly on your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.